What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Stats with Evan, and I'm here to give my predictions for all 15 games on the Week 4 NFL slate. Let's get it poppin'. By now, y'all know how this works. All predictions you hear in this video and in any video in this series are completely, totally, and 100% unbiased. These predictions are not a measure of which teams I like better or which teams I hate more. This is just a measure of which team I think has a better chance of winning this game this week. All 32 teams get the same energy. So with that being said, let's get on with the video. And as always, we start with our Thursday night game. This week we got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Before I begin, I just want all the Eagles fans and Packers fans watching this to take this with a grain of salt because I am 0 for 3 on Thursday night games. That being said though, at this time I'm willing to admit that I was wrong on both these teams. For the Green Bay Packers, in a good way, y'all have more than surpassed my expectations, and the Philadelphia Eagles, not so much. Philadelphia continues to struggle in the first half. Meanwhile, Green Bay, what they've been doing best in their first 3 games is coming out the gate swinging and hitting teams in the mouth. Now, it's clear to me where I got to go with this, and I'm going with Green Bay 20-14 over Philadelphia. Man, they gave the Packers 2 Thursday night games in the first 4 weeks. That's just messed up. And now we go to our 1 o'clock slate. We start with the Washington Redskins and the New York Giants. Originally, this was going to be a rant about the Redskins, but then I remembered I'm supposed to be unbiased, so let me just be unbiased. Now this has all the makings of a shootout since both teams' defenses have allowed 30 or more points in 5 of their combined 6 games. The only time either one of these teams held the opposition under 30 was when the Giants gave up 28 to the Bills. There's plenty of reasons I could say as to why either team could lose. Yes, I did say lose because both teams have a combined record of 1-5. I said that for a reason. But since this is Daniel Jones' home debut, the Giants have hype on their side. You think I'm going to end this here, but there's another thing. There's another big key component in this matchup. The Giants don't have Saquon Barkley. This means New York's options for moving the ball down the field are going to be very limited. Now, this might be the last chance for the Redskins defense to actually spark the turnaround, and as Jonathan Allen said, circle the wagons. There's a lot of things I thought about in the last couple days, and y'all are going to call me crazy for this, but as it stands, I think the Redskins have more reliable ways to move the ball, so I'm going to take Washington 38-35 over New York. I need therapy, y'all. Up next, we got the Tennessee Titans and the Atlanta Falcons. An intriguing matchup to be sure. I can never get a read on the Tennessee Titans, but I can with the Atlanta Falcons. And it's that they are one of the best home teams in the league. And they have been this way for quite some time. I can easily see either team winning this game. It's really a 50-50 game in my eyes. But I gotta pick a winner, so I'll say Atlanta uses their home field advantage to take this 24-20 over Tennessee. Up next, we got the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills. So, these two are tied for first in the AFC East. They got here 2 different ways, though. The New England Patriots used their offensive onslaught to dominate the Steelers, Miami, and the Jets, where the Bills used their slept-on defense to stump both New York teams and the Bengals. This game actually might be closer than people think, as an argument could be made that each team is facing their toughest opponent of the season. They're both 3-0 and they have yet to face, either one of them has yet to face an undefeated team to this point. However, as much as I like Buffalo's defense, I think the Patriots' offense is just too much for them. New England takes this 27-17 over Buffalo. Up next, we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Detroit Lions. These two are off to solid start to their season, and for the Kansas City Chiefs, this was expected. It is a pleasant surprise for the Detroit Lions. The Lions have done well to string a pair of wins together the last 2 weeks against 2 teams I had in the playoffs, by the way, the Chargers and Philadelphia. But now they face arguably their toughest test of the season in the Chiefs' offense. How do you stop this offense? That's an honest question. How do you stop them? The Chiefs lost Tyreek Hill, and even that hasn't slowed him down not one bit. Detroit may call this a reality check, but I think this would be more in line with a humbling defeat to just keep your head on the ground. Kansas City takes this 34-20 over Detroit. Up next, we got the Oakland Raiders and the Indianapolis Colts. A battle between two teams that have been on a roller coaster ride since the preseason. The Oakland Raiders are slowly coming back down to reality, while the Indianapolis Colts are riding an adrenaline high that has propelled them to back-to-back wins. They have not lost a game in regulation this season. Jacoby Brissett is off to a decent start with a QBR of 60.6. This may not be the best, but the way Indianapolis is set up, Jacoby Brissett doesn't need to be Superman every single week. The same cannot be said about Derek Carr. He pretty much has to do everything in that offense. And he doesn't have the best touchdown to interception ratio. Carr doesn't. He's thrown 4 touchdowns this season compared to 3 interceptions. Indianapolis is a better all-around team, so I'll take them to win this game 27-10 over Oakland. Up next, we got the Los Angeles Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. I never thought I'd say this about a matchup between two teams with a combined record of 1-5, but this one's open and shut. The Los Angeles Chargers still have ambition for this season, and despite back-to-back losses, they have a chance to stop the bleeding right now as they head to Miami to face a Dolphins team that threw the season away back in August. Now, for those of y'all that say the Dolphins might have looked good last week, if losing 31-6 is considered good, that bar is set so low it just hit the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Not much more needs to be said beyond that. LA takes this 34-10 over Miami. Up next, we got the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens. Originally, this was going to be my upset of the week, but then I realized I wouldn't have much to go on besides shock value, which is not how I do this, by the way. In actuality, the Baltimore Ravens offense has been everything the Cleveland Browns offense was supposed to be this season, as Lamar Jackson is coming into his own in his second season in the league. However, I will say this about the Browns. Their defense has really picked up the slack the last 2 weeks, shutting down New York and keeping the Browns in the game for most of the game against the Rams. For this reason, I think this is going to be a close game because remember, it is a division game. But I'm going to say Baltimore takes this 24-21 over Cleveland. Up next, we got the Carolina Panthers and the Houston Texans. A matchup between two offensive-minded teams, but I don't think either one quite gets into the 30s. So, the Carolina Panthers defense has done well enough to keep them in the game in 2.5 of their 3 games. I'm not including the first half against the Rams, that was a nightmare. And while Kyle Allen did well in his debut last week in Arizona, it takes more than one good game to win me over. Y'all know how I roll. Now he faces a better opponent in the Texans. Between the two, the Texans' offense has been more consistent and their defense has done well enough to lock up back-to-back wins, so I'll take Houston 27-24 over Carolina. And now we go to the 4 o'clock slate. We start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Rams. This one was a fairly easy decision for me. The Los Angeles Rams are looking every bit like a contender in the NFC, and as for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I was ready to start calling them a sleeper. I really was. And then they went out and did whatever last week was supposed to be. There doesn't seem to be too many ways to beat the Rams. As they proved last week, they don't even need a solid offensive game to beat you. It's just hard to find a chink in the Rams' armor. So I'm going to take LA to win this one 27-10 over Tampa. Up next, we got the Seattle Seahawks and the Arizona Cardinals. I'm still not sold on the Seattle Seahawks, and they gave me even more reasons to doubt them last week against the Saints. However, the early schedule favors the Seahawks as now they take on a winless Arizona Cardinals team. This game is going to be surprisingly close as the Seahawks have a point differential of -3 despite the 2-1 record. However, the Seahawks by this point are used to close games, as they're 2-0 in games that have come down to the last 2 minutes. For this reason, I'll say Seattle takes this late 21-17 over Arizona. Up next, we got the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. Would you believe these two teams are at the bottom of the NFC North? The Chicago Bears seem to be finding their footing as they look for their first home win against the Minnesota Vikings squad that will be out to make a statement. The Bears' defense is among the best in the league to no one's surprise, but it was the offense that I felt needed a jolt. Chicago got just that on Monday in Washington. The Vikings have a solid offense, but I don't think they match up well with the Bears' defense, so I'll take Chicago 24-13 over Minnesota. Up next, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Denver Broncos. A Jacksonville Jaguars team looking to turn their season around meets a Denver Broncos team in an absolute tailspin in the Mile High. Jacksonville's defense played like a sound unit and made plays when it was time to make plays last week against the Titans. Add on to that, it was a Thursday night game, so the Jags had extra rest going into this one. As for the Broncos, their offense is sputtering and their defense suddenly looks beatable. Jacksonville seems to check off most of the boxes in this matchup, so I'll pick this as my upset of the week and take Jacksonville over Denver 20-14. And now we go to our Sunday night game, the Dallas Cowboys and the New Orleans Saints. This has all the makings of a trap game for the Dallas Cowboys. Off to their best start since 2008, Dallas now heads to New Orleans to face a Saints team that hasn't missed a beat even without Drew Brees. New Orleans' defense stepped up big last week in Seattle to make sure the team goes back above 500. But now they face a much tougher opponent in a quarterback-wide receiver tandem that are both chasing a bag in Dak Prescott and Amari Cooper. If last home game was any indication, this might be a long game for the Saints defense. I'm taking Dallas in this one, 31-17 over New Orleans. And last but possibly least, we got our Monday night game, the Cincinnati Bengals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you have any plans on Monday night, don't cancel them for this game. If you got any shows to catch up on, now's a good time to catch up on them. If you're not picking up what I'm putting down, this is not going to be a very watchable game. 2 0-3 teams going head to head, and the NFL gave this a primetime slide. For real? Okay, rant over. I gotta pick a winner. Let me pick a winner. I'll make this quick, by the way. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals are alike in the fact that they're both 0-3, but they could have easily been 2-1 at this point. Between the two, I like the Steelers better on offense and defense, so I'll take Pittsburgh 24-7 over Cincinnati. And that's my picks. If you don't like any, tell your team to prove me wrong. Until next time, I'm Stats with Evan, and I hope you have a 100% day. Enjoy the games, y'all.